What's going on? Mike here with Tuner Test Drive, and today I want to go over one of the biggest questions I get asked, and that's on my wheel setup. So on my Supra, I'm running the Weld RTS setup. It's called the S71 style. So I have 18 by 9 inch wheels in the front and then 15 by 10 inch wheels in the back. So I wanted to go over the specs of the wheels and also some modifications you'll have to make in the rear to be able to run the much smaller 15 inch wheel. If you have an original twin turbo car, you can't just bolt that 15 inch wheel up in the back. You're gonna have all kinds of issues with the existing brake setup. I also want to go over a few accessories you can buy for these wheels to kind of help the functionality of the wheel setup and also make it a little bit more unique, since I know a lot of Supras now are running this Weld setup. It's pretty much the new CCW classics for the Supra. Okay, so first let's go over some of the specs of the wheels. Alright, so I'll have links to all these products in the description below if you want to check them out yourself. Now for the front, you don't have to do any other special modifications. It's a pretty standard setup for the Toyota Supra. So the front will be Weld RTS 18 by 9 with a 6.1 inch back spacing, and this is the high pad design. The high pad will give you more clearance to clear the large brake calipers in the front. Standard conical style lug nuts will work for the front as well. Now for tires, I'm using Bridgestone Potenzas, the full position XLs, in a size of 245 by 40. Now some recommended accessories you want to use for these front wheels would be the PHR, which is Powerhouse Racing, the hub-centric rings. The hub-centric rings from PHR are actually built for these wheels. Without these hub-centric rings, you're pretty much putting all the load on the actual wheel studs themselves, which isn't recommended. And with the PHR hub-centric rings, you can get the PHR center caps, which look much better than the center caps that come with the Weld wheels themselves. Now before we start with the rear wheel setup, you have to realize that running the 15 inch wheel in the rear, you're going to need to use a much smaller brake setup. So if you have an OEM twin turbo Supra, you're going to have to ditch the twin turbo brakes in the back and either convert them to an NA Supra brake setup, calipers and rotor, or people have used Evo 8 rear Brembo brake setups. Now for the rear, it's going to be the same Weld RTS, and now it's going to be a 15 inch by 10 inch wheel with 7.5 inch back spacing in the medium pad design. Now for tire sizes in the rear, I'm using the 275/60/15, which actually is a 28 inch diameter wheel. Standard size wheel in the rear of a Supra is 26 inches. So your speedometer will be off running this wheel setup because you'll be covering a lot more distance with the larger diameter than you were with the much smaller diameter wheel. So in the rear, you can't use the standard conical style lug nuts. You're going to have to purchase a set of open-ended Shank style lug nuts. And one additional modification you might want to make while you're at it is to replace the existing wheel studs with longer wheel studs, because if you ever want to take your car to the track, you'll need the wheel stud to extend past the actual lug nuts themselves. And if you put these open-ended Shank style lug nuts on the standard wheel studs, you'll have a small gap. And like the front, I would recommend buying the PHR setup with the hub-centric rings and the center caps. One thing you want to check before you bolt these wheels down and actually run them on the road is to see if you need to grind down some of the outer face of the NA brakes, because depending on the casting, some people had to grind down some of the brakes just to clear the wheel, some people don't, so it's kind of a case-by-case basis. Alright, so total including the PHR accessories would be about $3,400, which isn't too bad for this really awesome wheel setup. Now if you choose not to go with the PHR accessories, you can save a couple $100 because they are quite expensive when you're buying a set of 4 for each of the hub-centric rings and center caps. So like I said, links for all this stuff will be in the description below. Hopefully this was helpful for you, but I'll catch you on the next one.